author, which means that I write the words in books. I'm also an illustrator, which means that I draw the pictures in books. And in the publishing industry, you know, not many people know this, but in the publishing industry, there's actually a very special word for people who do both, who both write the words and draw the pictures. You might not have heard it before. It's kind of like a New York, like insider thing, but when someone writes the words and draws the pictures, they call that amazing. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard the word amazing before, but that's what people say all the time to me. Greg Pizzoli, you are so amazing. And I'm walking down the street and people are like, whoa, that guy's amazing. And I say, yeah, I mean, I'm an author and illustrator. That's what they call me. Thank you very much. Kidding aside, though, I do write the words and draw the pictures. And some of the books that I've made include The Watermelon Seed. You guys might have seen this book before, The Watermelon Seed. I also wrote the words and drew the pictures for The Book Hog. I've seen The Book Hog before. Good Night Al. Oh my gosh, there's so many books here. Good Night Al. I did that one. The 12 Days of Christmas. I love Christmas. I love Christmas. I love Christmas lights. I even have Christmas lights. I don't know if you can see them, kind of like just hanging over here near my window. Maybe you can't see them. They're next to that plant. I also wrote this book, Templeton Gets His Wish. Number One Sam. Oh my gosh, can I hold all of these books with just two hands? I don't know. I need an assistant over here. And This Story Is For You. So those are the picture books that I've made. I've made quite a few picture books. I feel like maybe I missed one in there somewhere, but yeah, I've made quite a few picture books. And I've been making picture books for about like 8 years or so. I also do the pictures. I'm the illustrator for the Jack series by Mac Barnett. Mac and I have been friends for a long, long time, more than 10 years or so. And we've made 9 books together. And this one is our 9th book. It just came out. It's called Jack Gets Zapped. And it's about a little rabbit named Jack, who gets sucked into a video game. I think it's pretty funny. Mac and I both like video games, so we wanted to do a book about that. And my new books that I'm working on, it's my first ever graphic novels. So the first one is called Bologna and Friends, just Bologna and Friends, Bologna and Friends. And then the second one is called Bologna and Friends Going Up. This one just came out yesterday. It's a brand new book. Very, very few people have seen it. You guys are going to be only the first group of kids that I'm going to read it to. I was going to say the kids in the afternoon are going to be the second group. And you guys will get to see a sneak peek at this brand new book. Before we get into that, though, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me. I live in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania. And my wife and I have lived here for this summer will be 15 years that we've lived in Philadelphia. I've kind of lived all over the country growing up. I actually lived in Chattanooga for a time growing up. I lived in Louisville for a few years when I was in middle school, like 5th grade to 7th grade. I've lived in Delaware and Maryland, Rhode Island, but I've lived in Philadelphia for the last 15 years. It's the longest I've ever lived anywhere. Some of my other hobbies, besides making children's books, some things I like cereal a lot. I bet you guys like cereal too. Cereal, this is a book of all old cereal boxes and stuff. I really like the art on cereal boxes. And I think some of my interest in cartooning came from my love of old cereal boxes from when I was a kid. I really like the Ninja Turtles. I have some of the toys that I have had since I was a kid. I really like the Ninja Turtles. This one is signed by Kevin Eastman, who created the Ninja Turtles. So that one is like kind of one of my prized possessions. And I like Super Mario a lot. I really like Super Mario games. So anybody out there who likes Super Mario, I don't know if that's too old for you guys or if you guys still like Super Mario or not. It's all Roblox these days, but I like Super Mario a whole lot. So those are kind of like just a few things about me. I like cereal, toys, video games. Maybe you like some of those things too. I don't know if you might like some of those things. You don't have to. But anyway, my new book, my brand new book this is the first one. It's called Bologna and Friends. And I'm just going to introduce you to all 4 characters here. You can see, let me see, there's Baloney the pig, Peanut the horse, Bizz the bee, and Krabbit, the very grumpy rabbit. Krabbit is very, very grumpy. And this book is not just one long story. You know, it says that it's a graphic novel, and it is, it's comics, but it's not just one long story. It's actually 7 short stories. And I wanted to make a book like that because I was really inspired by some of my favorite books when I was a kid that are called the Frog and Toad series by Arnold Lobel. I love Frog and Toad. I loved them as a kid. I still love them today. And one of the things I think I liked about them when I was a kid was that they were smaller than picture books. They were like kind of about this size. And when you opened them up, they had 5 different stories in each one. And so, you know, you could read the book, but you didn't have to follow one long plot throughout the whole book. You could just kind of read a chapter at a time, and you felt like you got a whole story out of that. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with this book too, was, yeah, if you only felt like reading 10 pages or so, you could still get a laugh out of it and still get a story out of it. So I can show you the table of contents here. You can see the different stories. There's one called Get Started. There's a longer one called The Magic Trick. There's one called Big Splash. And the one that we're going to read today actually is called Feeling Blue. And then I'll show you some secret stuff at the back that not that many people know about. So let me find, on the table of contents says Feeling Blue, but wait, there's more. Feeling Blue is on page 56, based on a true story. All right, so let's find page 56. Sometimes I start at the back, count my pages, and here we go. Feeling Blue, story number 3, starring Baloney with special guest Peanut. Peanut says, "That's me." I don't know if this is backwards for you guys. It's backwards for me. Is it backwards for you guys? Oh, it's good? Okay. Thanks, Katie. All right. Sigh. Excuse me. Sigh. Are you okay, Baloney? Oh, hi, Peanut. Yeah, I'm okay, I guess. Are you hungry? No. Starving? No. Famished? No, I'm not hungry, Peanuts. I'm just feeling blue. Really? I feel blue too. Ugh, you are blue, Peanut. I feel blue. Oh. That was a joke, because like she's blue. Anyway. Gasp! Was it something I did? No, it's nothing like that. I don't know. I was just thinking of some things that make me feel kind of sad. What things? Broken crayons? Oh no. Yeah. Or pennies facing the wrong way up? Gasp! Unlucky. Yep. Or when cereal gets all soggy? Ew! That is gross. You guys know I like cereal, but it is gross when cereal gets soggy. That is kind of gross. I don't like soggy cereal. Yep. I was just thinking of things like that, and it made me feel kind of blue. Sigh. I see. I've got it. I'll think of things to cheer you up. Really? Like what? You can see Peanut has her thinking cap on. Those are expensive thinking caps. What about when we went sledding? That was fun. Whee! Except I fell down and hurt my tail, remember? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot to change my voice. Well, what about last summer when we ran through the sprinklers? Yay! No, my socks got all wet, and I hate wet socks. Wow. Wow, you are blue. Yeah. Wait, I've got it. Carrot sticks and peanut butter. Delicious. Peanuts, you know I'm allergic to peanut butter. All right. It's true. Everything is awful. What are we going to do? Everything is not awful, Peanut. Sniff, sniff, it's not. Of course not. There are plenty of things that are not awful. Like what? Pizza's not awful. I love pizza. Uh-huh. You can see them sharing the pizza. It's always good to share a pizza if you've got one. Puppies aren't awful. Gasp! Puppies! Cute! Yeah. And what about rainbows? They are not awful. You're right. Remember when we saw the double rainbow? Yes, the double rainbow. Yep, that was fun. You know what, Peanut? What? I feel better. You do? Even with all the broken crayons? Uh-huh. And the unlucky pennies? Yep. And the soggy cereal? Yes. And the time we ran through the sprinklers and you had your socks on and I said to take them off or they would get all wet and you didn't do it and you stayed out there all wet and you got mad even though I told you that's what happened. You still did it anyway. You still feel better? Yes, I do. But why? It's simple. Because I have you to talk to. Oh, of course, Baloney. You can always talk to me, no matter how you are feeling. Thanks, buddy. Anytime. The end. Yeah. All right. I'll just wait for the thunderous applause to echo from Tallahassee to Philly. 5, 4. Oh, I'm getting it. Thank you. Thank you for that thunderous applause. It made its way up here. There's a little bit of a delay, but I appreciate it. Thank you. So that's just one of the many stories in Bologna and Friends book 1. There's also another one called The Magic Trick where Bologna does a very obviously not magic trick. And there is one where Bologna sort of overcomes his fear of getting into the pool, which I don't know if anybody was a little scared the first time they got into the pool, maybe. Maybe you still don't like swimming in the pool. I think it's like a pretty normal thing to be wary of. And then after Feeling Blue, after those 3 stories in Feeling Blue, there's a little short mini comic. And then there is at the very end, here, I'll show you what it's called. I forget the title. Let me look on the title page. It's called A Plus Super Mega Bonus, How to Draw All 4 Friends, pages 82 to 85. Wow, 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 wow. And so that is a super mega bonus that I included at the end of the book. And it teaches you how to draw Baloney, how to draw Peanut, how to draw Bizz, and how to draw Krabbit. Yeah, I guess you should even draw Krabbit if you feel like it. And I kind of got the idea to do the how to draw thing, which is also at the back of the Jack books that I showed you earlier. Because of books that I loved as a kid by an author illustrator named Ed Emberley. Ed Emberley made a lot of how to draw books that I got out from the library constantly as a kid. And I actually got to meet Mr. Emberley a few years ago at his house and asked him if it was cool if I put some how to draw things in my books. And he said yes. So I feel like I got the blessing there and it's okay. And also the graphic novels, some of my favorite graphic novels are the Dogman series by Dave Pilkey. I guess you guys probably know what those look like, but I'm just going to grab one from my shelf here. I have all the Dogman books here. And, you know, Dave is a super, super nice guy. And when I sent him my graphic novel, he said, Greg, I love this so much. I want to put a blurb on the front of the book. So you can see on the front of the book, it says, Greg Pizzoli is super awesome. This is a great book by Dave Pilkey, which is really cool. It's got the Dogman seal of approval. I don't know. Maybe there will be like a multiverse connection where there's one book where Baloney gets transported into Dogman world. That would probably help me a lot. So we'll see. Maybe that'll happen. And I want to read you guys one story from the brand new book, Baloney and Friends, book 2. And let's see. I will show you. The first book at the very beginning has a reference to one of my favorite bands, the Ramones. I like punk music a lot. I probably should have mentioned that. But I also like the Beatles a lot. And here's a reference to the Beatles from their famous record, Abbey Road. Actually, I named my dog after a Beatles song. My dog's name is Eleanor. She's being very camera shy right now. She's taking a nap. But she comes to the studio with me. Let's see. So if we go here to Baloney and Friends going up, here's the title page. You can see they're on YouTube. They're super famous. They do a ton of unboxing videos. They do like Roblox and Minecraft playthroughs, Let's Plays, and they just have millions and millions of subscribers. So comment, like, and subscribe on Baloney and Friends. But anyway, here they are on the title page. You can see all the different stories. There's one called The Missing Sneeze. There's one called The Ladder. There's one called Under This Tree. And then there are some mini comics. Now, mini comics is what I call comics that are just one page. You know, if you feel like, you know, I really want to read something, but I only have like 2 minutes till lunch. I can't like commit to a whole story. So I just want to read a mini comic. And a mini comic, it just is one whole spread here. So it starts here and it ends here, and you get a whole comic out of that. And they're kind of all throughout the Baloney and Friends book. So I'm going to read you guys a mini comic from book 2, and this one is called The Yard Sale. And what's it say in that yellow box up there? It says, and now it's time for a slightly used mini comic starring Bologna, Krabbit, and Bizz. And you can see some of my favorite things on the table there. I told you guys I like Super Mario, so there's a Game Boy. Who would sell a Game Boy at a yard sale, though? I would not do that. No way. All right, so Krabbit has a comic book, and he says, how much for this? Bologna says, let's see. $1 million. What? For this? Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It's $2 million. Forget it. And Bizz says, you know, Bologna, you're not going to sell very much at these prices. I know, but I only need it to work once. So that's a mini comic. It's just like one little mini comic, a little taste of the characters, a little like kind of behind the scenes of the big stories. And I am going to show you at the very end of this book. So there's a whole bunch of really funny stories. The Ladder is probably, I think, the funniest one. There's the yard sale again. There's one called Under This Tree, which is kind of inspired by one of my favorite comics called Peanuts. You guys might call it Snoopy, but I always called it Peanuts. It's the one with Charlie Brown and Snoopy. And at the very end, oh gosh, this book is so long, 96 pages, holy cow. There are drawing tips from super famous author and illustrator Greg Pizzoli, and Bizz is saying something very nice. Bizz is saying, I've never heard of him. Okay, well, that's kind of rude to say that, Bizz, but anyway, there are some drawing tips. It shows you how to draw. If you're interested in cartooning, and if you liked how you learned how to draw from the first book, you can learn how to take your cartoons kind of to the next level and learn how to draw your characters with tons of emotion, like how to draw them happy, how to draw them looking sad, how to draw them angry, fed up, mad, furious, annoyed, outraged, irate, or a little worried, distressed, uptight, nervous, uneasy, concerned, fretful, suspicious. You know, so you can learn all different, there's some vocab words in there too, I guess, but I don't know. And I didn't do that on purpose, I promise. And then you can learn how to draw with tons of emotions. And in the third book, which I'm working on now, I'm going to teach you guys how to make a book using just one sheet of paper. But I don't know, I'll have to teach you that in person when I come to Tallahassee on the next tour. All right, so I think what we should do now, before we get to our drawing segment, we have about 20 minutes or so left. So before we get to our how to draw segment, I think we should do Q&A. So if you guys have any cues I don't see any cues yet. Maybe sure drop any questions you have into the Q&A box. And then I think maybe Katie has some questions that were asked ahead of time. We could do that.
Yeah. Like Greg said, if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in there. And I do have some questions that some kids submitted before. We'll start with this one though, from a kid in Mrs. Hunter's class. What made you create Baloney and Friends?
What made me create Bologna and Friends? And I'm sorry, this is from Mrs. Hunter's class.
Yeah.
Hello, Mrs. Hunter's class. Thank you for submitting a question. Thank you. What made me want to create Bologna and Friends was I really wanted to, I've been making picture books for a while. Like I showed you some of my other picture books, and like they're books like Number One Sam. So it's about Sam, it's kind of like focuses on Number One Sam. Templeton Gets His Wish. It's all about Templeton. The book hog. It's the book hog. It's about the hog, and I really wanted to create a book that told a story of friends, of like a group of friends who have different personalities and they kind of play off of one another. I was really interested in telling stories that were focused on friendships rather than just one main character. Even though it's called Baloney and Friends, and Baloney sort of like is the star. Baloney is, he's in every story, basically. It really is more about his relationships with Peanut and Bizz and Krabbit. And I also really wanted to make comics. I wanted to make comics since I was a kid. My mom says, and I don't know how accurate her memory is at times, to be honest, but she says at the age of 3, she asked me what did I wanted to be when I grew up, and that I said I wanted to be a cartoonist because I really, really liked when I was a kid the Garfield comics by Jim Davis. And I really liked Peanuts. And later I grew to love Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin and Hobbes is one of my all-time favorite books ever. If you ever meet somebody who says they don't like Calvin and Hobbes, maybe just keep going, you know what I'm saying? So I really wanted to make a comic, and it was when I read Dogman and Narwhal and Jelly by my friend Ben Clanton that I just decided, you know what? I really like this format. I really want to make comics, and maybe that would be the perfect way to tell this friendship story. And so I think that's basically the origin of it. I felt like for a while, Baloney and Friends might be a TV show. It kind of like felt like everything I was writing was kind of like little sketches, like from Sesame Street or something, and maybe I would pitch it as a TV show. But I just love making books so much, and I really wanted to sort of fill the void after kids have read some of my picture books. I think maybe it's natural as you get older to want to read something that's a little longer. Maybe the stories are a little more complex. And so I wanted to create something for kids in like 1st and 2nd grade, like right about where you guys are at. And I know that when I was your age, comics were what I was really drawn to. So that's a very long roundabout answer, but that's how I work.
All right, so a couple of kids are wondering, what is the first book you ever wrote, and how old were you when you wrote it?
Okay, great question. So I'll give you 2 answers to that. The first book that I ever had published was the award-winning best-selling Watermelon Seed. This was the first book I ever had published, and when that book came out, it was almost 8 years ago, and I had just turned 30. You can do the math as to how old I am. I've aged 10 years in the last year, so you can do a little carry the one. And the first book so I was pretty lucky in that my parents were divorced when I was a kid. That's not necessarily what made me lucky, but I was lucky in that my dad kept a bunch of my drawings that I made. Whenever I saw my dad every other weekend, and when I was there, I would draw at his house. And unbeknownst to me, he kept a lot of those drawings in a box, like in the attic. And so a few years ago, we were cleaning out his house, and I found a lot of those drawings. And I found a book that I made that was kind of tied with yarn, and it was made in 1987. So I was like 3 or 4, and what I didn't know how to write yet, but I like to draw a lot. And what would happen would be my dad would I would draw a picture, and then my dad would ask me sort of like what was happening in the picture, and he would write the story down for me. And then we would like tie them together with yarn or staple them together and make little books out of them. And so that first one was called The Dragon Chick. I wish I had brought it. I have it somewhere in the studio. I should have grabbed it. And it doesn't really make any sense because I was like 3 or 4, and it's pretty short, to be honest. It's just a few pages, but I feel like it was my first book. And I think like maybe at some point I should put a reference to that in one of my, maybe I should write a book now called The Dragon Chick and just see that would be kind of like a full circle kind of thing. That would be pretty cool. You guys have inspired me now to try that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Allison would like to know, how long does it take to write a book from start to finish? And we also have a question about the role of the editor in the process of making a book. So you're an author and an illustrator, but you still don't make the book all by yourself, right? There's editors and other people involved in that whole process. So how much does an editor take out, and how long does the whole process take?
Yeah, that's very true. Being an author and illustrator is very much what's called a collaborative job. You collaborate, meaning you work together with a ton of other people. So for example, like I draw the pictures and I write the story, but I don't make the actual book. Like I don't actually glue the drawings onto a piece of cardboard and then bind the book together. That's done by a whole team of people, actually in Asia, in China. This one was made in China. And I do work with an editor. My editor's name is Andrea. And Andrea, I really like working with her because what she does is helps me to focus the story sometimes. So maybe my story will be a little bit longer, and she'll say, I don't know that you need this part or this part to really get the point across. And I think that's very helpful for me. And I also work with, so there's an editor who helps you sort of shape the story, shape the text of the story. But I also work with an art director who sort of like helps guide the picture making too. We'll say, maybe this color that you've chosen here is going to be really hard to reproduce just because the crayon that you use to color it or whatever is really hard to reproduce using our printing method. So maybe you could consider another color, or I don't really understand this drawing. I don't think it's coming across quite the way that you, so maybe you want to redraw that one, which I will often do. And I have worked with this team. I mean, we have a really good team. So my art director's name is Dave. And so Dave and Andrea and I are kind of the 3 people that I kind of feel like are the main team in making the books. But then there's print people, production people, people that actually make the book. And I would say it takes me, between the writing and the drawing, about 6 months or so to make a book. I have a new book, a picture book that I'm working on now called Mr. Kitty is Lost. And it's kind of one of those, it's got die cuts. So it's like one of those where you see part of the picture and then you turn the page and you see the rest of the picture. And that's kind of taken a while because I've never done something like that before. But the interesting thing is that it takes about a year from the time I finish a book till the time that it's in your school library or at the bookstore, at Midtown Reader, for example. It takes about a year because it has to be printed, it has to be glued all together, and then so usually books are made in China, and then they take a boat from China They don't typically send them on airplanes. They typically send them on boats in big shipping containers. You guys might have seen in the news that big shipping container ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal like a month ago. Big boats like that. And they take 2 months to get from China to San Francisco. San Francisco is the biggest port in the United States. They go to San Francisco, and then from there they get distributed all over the country. And so it takes about a year from the time I finish it to get them printed and then take the slow boat over and then get all distributed all over. So actually what I'm working on this week, when I'm done with you guys, I'm going to stay at the studio here and keep drawing Baloney and Friends book 3, because even though it won't be in stores until next February, oh my gosh, it's so long away, next February, I can't believe it. I have to turn it in by Monday. Can you believe that? Can you believe it? So it takes a long time, sometimes longer than I'd like, because I'm usually very excited to tell you about, I just finished this book, I want to show it to you. And they say, well, great, I can't wait to read it. When's it coming out? And I say, February, next February. So that can be tough. That is one of the harder things. So we have about 10 minutes left. I do want to do some drawing with you guys. So if there's one more question, we could do that. Or if not, we can just go right into drawing. If you don't have a piece of paper and a marker or a pencil or something you like to draw with, you should grab that now. You should make sure you have that.
All right, yeah, let's go ahead, because I know, yeah, we don't have very much time left. So yeah, let's go ahead and do some drawing, if that's okay, Greg.
Okay, cool. Yeah, great. I'm going to show you guys how to draw Peanut. Because I like drawing Peanut, because Peanut you can draw with just a few very simple shapes that you all already know. So I'm going to follow the instructions on how to draw Peanut from the back of Baloney and Friends book 1. Okay, so I'll do it. I'll follow from the book, and I'll do it on this piece of paper right here. And then you guys can just follow along with me. So let me draw before you start drawing. But basically, if you know how to draw 3 basic shapes, you can draw Peanut. But I kind of designed all of the characters in this book so that if you know how to do just a few simple shapes, you can draw them too. So those 3 simple shapes for Peanut are a circle. Sure, you can all draw a circle. Maybe I'll draw that a little bigger so you can see it better. A circle. Draw a circle. You can draw a straight-ish line. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but like a straight-ish line. And if you can draw the letter U. The letter U is very important if you want to draw Peanut. It's in her name. So you have to know how to draw the letter U. All right, so the first thing when I'm drawing Peanut is I draw her head. And her head is just like a sideways letter U, or a very long backward C, I guess you could think about it too. So I'll show you how I do it. I do a sideways letter U, just like that. So if you guys can follow along. I'm just going to use Katie as my guide as to how much time to give for each step. And if you screw it up, don't worry. You know, you can. It's easy to fix. So her body is actually kind of a letter U again. I'll show you what I mean. Is you just do a letter U and connect those 2 points just like that. All right. Now Peanut's legs, so we're going to change the shape a little bit. Peanut's legs are straight lines, and Peanut is the tallest of all 4 friends. She's a horse, so she's taller than everybody else. So she has kind of long legs. And I just do 1, 2 straight lines, and then I just connect them to make her little hoof down there. And then I do that 1 more time to give her those legs. Okay. And her arms are like very similar to her legs, except they're a little more noodly. You know, they kind of move around like this a little bit more. So they've got more curve to them. They're not quite as straight. And actually they're kind of like the U shape again. So I'm going to have Peanut waving at us. So I'm going to do kind of a U shape like that. And then I'm going to do a little straight line for her hoof like that. I'm just going to slow down a little bit to give everybody a chance to get that. Okay. And then I'm going to do another U shape like that. Okay. And I'll give you guys a little comics trick. If you want to make your character look like they're waving, just have their hand and you can do little motion lines like that. It makes it look like they're waving. I don't know why that signifies waving, but it works. That's how it works. All right, so we're gonna do her other arm the same exact way. So a U, a straight line, and a U. And so right now she doesn't really look like Peanut. She looks kind of like a scary zombie or something who's coming and is going to attack us. I don't know. So we are going to give her some more Peanut traits. All right, so we're going to do her ears. Her ears are just upside down letter U's, just like that. And then her mane is a bunch of little U shapes. I told you we would be using the U a lot. So it's the U. It just goes right down her back. I usually do about 10 or so. And then she is, here, I'll give you some time to get those little U's all the way down her back. I always do the face last. For whatever reason. I think it's the most important part. Maybe that's why I save it for the last. So her tail is just 3 U shapes. It's 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay. Now, for her face, we kind of have to give her her snout. So that's the straight line. Another straight line comes in down here. Give her a straight line. And then we got to give her 2 little nose holes. So those are some circles, little nostrils down there. All right, so this is the really, really important part, is we have to give her circle, or sometimes I guess a 4th shape you could say is that it's kind of like an oval. Ovals are kind of very similar to circles, but her eyes are more ovally than they are just perfect circles. And I'm going to give her her eyes. But before I draw the pupil, I want to talk to you guys about pupils a little bit. Pupils are really, really important. That's the circle that goes inside your cartoon character's eye. And you can do a lot with a pupil. You can show a lot of emotion. Like if your character, watch my eyes, if your character is looking up like this, it might look like they're thinking about something. If they're looking down, maybe they're feeling kind of sad. If they're like squinting, maybe they're feeling a little suspicious. We already decided that Peanut's going to be waving at us and like she's typically pretty happy. So I'm going to have her look right at us. I'm going to draw her pupil right in the center of her eye, just like that. And then I'm going to give her a big smile. And her big smile is one of the shapes we've already drawn before. Can you guess? The letter U. That's right. It is the letter U. Big smile. Now, so that is your very own Peanut. Now, if you want to write your own comic, and maybe you write like a fantasy fiction where Peanut is like a diabolical, evil scientist, and she's taking over Bologna. If you want to make her an evil Peanut, just give her a couple eyebrows. And all of a sudden, she's not waving at you. She's threatening you. She's going to come for you. All right. So you can do a lot with eyebrows in your cartoons too. All right. So I hope you guys will make your own comics. That is kind of the reason I wanted to show you how to draw in the back of the book. In the back of both books, you can see what Baloney says to Bizz at the back. He says, now we can make our own comics. And Baloney has written one about Krabbit. Now we can make our own comics. I think you guys should write your own comics, write your own Bologna and Friends comics. Do the third book. See if you can get it done before I do on Monday, before I get the third book done. See if you can beat Greg Pizzoli to make a new Bologna and Friends comic. We'll see. But I want to thank you guys for hosting me at your school today. I can't wait till the day that I can visit you all in person. I'm double vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated, so I'm ready to go. I'm ready to come down and see you all in person, hopefully on the next go round, on the next book tour. Thank you to Midtown Reader for putting this all together. If you guys did not pre-order a copy of Bologna and Friends or Bologna and Friends Going Up, I know that Midtown has tons and tons of copies of them that they are happy to get for you. And I just appreciate you all having me here today. And thank you very much. And I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg. This has been so fun. Thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great
All right.
day.
Thank you, Kate. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.